Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of Political Analysis. Today we will look at the 2024 presidential election between likely candidates, President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. Today is Wednesday, August 9th. We will start this episode by looking at who's ahead in the National Republican primary average polling. As you can see, Donald Trump is in the lead with a huge lead. He's at 53.3%, but it wasn't always like that. After very disastrous results in the 2022 midterm elections, Donald Trump almost lost his lead in average polling for the Republican primary. DeSantis was tied, and in some cases even ahead of Donald Trump. But as time passed on, DeSantis lost on time, and by the time he announced in May of 2023, it was already too late. Trump was at 51% in May 2023, and DeSantis' campaign collapsed. DeSantis is today at 14.3%, followed by Ramaswamy at 6.7%, and former President Mike Pence is in fourth place with 4.9%. Other candidates, like Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, and Chris Christie, all have less than 4% in average polling. First, we will give candidates states considered safe for both parties. That means selected states have no chance to flip in any case or scenario. Candidates are expected to win those states by huge margins. If a candidate underperforms in a safe state, he's probably not on track to win the presidential election. Safe states for Joe Biden are New York, Illinois, California, Hawaii, etc. For Donald Trump, safe states are states like Wyoming, Montana, North and South Dakota, Indiana, West Virginia, etc. Likely states are states that have a chance to flip, but it's still very unlikely. If a candidate underperforms in likely state, he's destined to lose in presidential election. For Donald Trump, likely states are Kansas, Ohio, Iowa, South Carolina, Alaska, etc. For President Joe Biden, likely states are Minnesota, New Hampshire, Maine at large, Nebraska 2nd District, etc. Battleground states are states where the presidential election is decided. Battleground states for 2024 are Nevada, Arizona, Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. As you can see, Biden needs only 44 electoral votes to win, and his path is much easier than Trump's path to the White House. National polls are showing a narrow Biden lead. He's at the moment ahead by 0.9% in average polling, but even though he's ahead, that is not a huge lead. In 2020, when Trump barely lost the presidential election, Biden won the popular vote by 4%, so it's very likely that if Biden is winning the popular vote by 1 to 2%, Trump is going to win Electoral College by enough to be the next president of the United States. In 2016, Trump lost the popular vote by 2%, but won Electoral College 306 to 232. In reality, popular vote doesn't matter at all in presidential elections, but if you are losing popular vote as a candidate by 4 to 5% or more, you are likely going to lose Electoral College too. The last poll by Insider Advantage shows Biden ahead 45 to 44, while New York Times/Siena shows it 43 of 43. I would also like to remind you that New York Times was one of the most accurate polls in 2022. Now, let's take a closer look at the battleground states for the 2024 presidential election and their voting history in recent years. As you can see, Vice President Joe Biden won the popular vote 51 to 47 and the Electoral College 306 to 232, which was exactly the same number as Trump had in 2016 when he defeated Hillary Clinton. Biden flipped the state of Arizona, which last voted for a Democrat in 1996 when Bill Clinton won it. He also flipped the state of Georgia, which also voted for Bill Clinton in 1992. Furthermore, Biden returned Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, states that Hillary Clinton attempted to create in 2016 as a blue wall. Donald Trump won all three states in an upset. The battleground state of Texas is going to start off as a lean Republican for 2024. I doubt Joe Biden will flip Texas in 2024, even though the state is continuing to shift Democratic. If Biden flips Texas in 2024, Trump's path to the White House doesn't exist. He would need to flip every remaining battleground state to win, and it's really impossible to see him do that if he's not winning Texas. In a scenario where he loses Texas, he's also likely to lose some safer states, like Ohio or Florida. In my opinion, North Carolina is also a lean Republican in 2024. Republicans performed fairly well in the 2022 midterms. They retained the Senate seat and flipped the Supreme Court from Democratic to Republican. Polls in 2020 showed Biden flipping North Carolina, and most predictions cited it as lean D or toss-up in 2020. However, Donald Trump won the state by 1.3%, and incumbent Republican Senator Thom Tillis defeated Cal Cunningham. If Donald Trump loses North Carolina in 2024, his path to the White House becomes harder and probably impossible. It's difficult to see him winning the presidency if he's losing states he won in both 2016 and 2020. Another must-win state for Donald Trump is the state of Georgia. Trump lost Georgia in 2020 and was the first Republican since 1992 to lose Georgia. Trump lost Georgia in somewhat of surprise in 2020, but it was a very narrow margin and he lost Georgia by about 12,000 votes. In 2022 midterms, Governor Brian Kemp easily won re-election. He won by 7.5%, but that didn't help Senate candidate Herschel Walker, who was endorsed by Donald Trump. Walker was unpopular and lost by almost 3% to incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock. In what was likely the biggest key to Biden's victory in Georgia, the Democratic Party invested heavily in the state, with activist and gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams heading an effort to boost minority turnout, especially among African American voters. The Democratic Super PAC Priorities USA focused on Georgia near the end of the 2020 campaign, even sending former President Barack Obama to campaign in the state. Black voters made up 29% of the electorate, and Latinos made up about 7%, a significant increase compared to previous years. In my opinion, Biden is favored to win Georgia in 2024. It's unlikely that Trump will improve in the Atlanta metro area, and it's even more unlikely that black turnout is going to be weaker. The next battleground state is the state of Nevada. Nevada last time voted for a Republican presidential candidate was in 2004 when George Bush won it. The state is slowly shifting to Republican. For Trump, Nevada is not a must-win state, but he would like to have those 6 electoral votes in his path to the White House. Nevada is decided in 2 counties, Washoe and Clark County, where Las Vegas is. Trump needs to improve on his margins in Washoe by 2%, and he also needs to improve in Clark by 3%. He also needs to keep his ground in small rural areas. I believe Joe Biden will keep Nevada in 2024. Nevada is trending Republican, but 2024 is not going to be the year when Nevada flips. The state of Arizona was expected to flip in 2020, but it was much closer than expected. Instead of winning it by 3% or more, Biden won Arizona by 10,000 votes, and it was the first time since 1992 a Democrat won Arizona in a presidential election. Biden won Arizona thanks to a strong performance in Maricopa County. Biden won Maricopa by 2.2%, and that was crucial in flipping the state. Arizona continues to shift Democratic rapidly, and I doubt that a toxic candidate like Trump will be able to win Arizona back in 2024 after all his endorsed candidates lost last year in Arizona. I believe Arizona is leaning Biden for 2024. While Trump can win without Arizona in 2024, his path to the White House is going to be incredibly hard without it. Trump needs those 11 electoral votes to win. The next state is the state of Wisconsin. Wisconsin voted for a Republican president last time in 1984 when Ronald Reagan won. After that, Wisconsin flipped Republican when Trump broke the so-called blue wall that Hillary Clinton tried to create in 2016. Joe Biden won Wisconsin by an incredibly close margin in 2020. It was a surprise because in most of polls Biden was ahead by 5% or more. The main reason for Trump's loss was increased turnout in strong Democratic counties like Milwaukee and Dane. He also lost battleground County Door, and his margin in WOW counties weakened. The state of Wisconsin is a must-win state for Donald Trump in 2024. If Trump wins Georgia, Arizona, and Wisconsin, he will be the next president of the United States, but I believe Joe Biden is favorite in the state of Wisconsin. The state of Michigan flipped to Donald Trump in a huge upset in the 2016 presidential election, but in 2020 it voted for Joe Biden by 2.8%, and in 2022 Democrats performed extremely well in Michigan. If Trump wants to win Michigan in 2024, he needs to hold his rural numbers that he got in 2020. He needs to overperform in suburban counties like Kent, Leelanau, Saginaw, Muskegon, Grand Traverse, Kalamazoo, Oakland, and he needs to hope for weak black turnout in the Detroit areas. Early polls from Michigan suggest a close race with a lot of undecided voters. The last state for today is the state of Pennsylvania. If Trump wins Pennsylvania, it's over for Joe Biden. Trump flipped Pennsylvania in 2016, which was the first time Republicans won it presidentially since 1988. If Trump wants to win, he needs to perform incredibly well in eastern suburban part of Pennsylvania. He needs to hold his margins in rural areas and cut black turnout in Philadelphia. He also needs to lose Allegheny County by less than 20%. But I currently believe Joe Biden is favored to win in state of Pennsylvania, and that's giving us the exact same map like we had in 2020 presidential election. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode where we will talk about recent military coup in Niger.